Welcome to everybody to the London Softland Partners Meetup. This is our first meetup in London, and we certainly do expect more people to join us as we go. We've got about 50 people registered today. My name is Bill Kenny. I'm your host only for today. We have some co-leaders in London who are totally excited to introduce as we get in and as we get going. But I think this is one of the things about sort of the ethos of what we're building. And I should say we have 10 chapters now going globally. So we're actually seeing more and more interest in getting the soft landing, the internationalization community, support community together so that we can collaborate more and get to learn more about each other. But what we're going to do, our format's pretty straightforward. We're going to go around and do introductions because of the number of people we expect. We'll probably do, say, 15 or 20-second introductions, and that'll just be sort of name, organization, and just like one sentence on what you do is perfect. Give us one more sentence, though. I know it's been really sunny in London. Tell us what you're kind of enjoying sort of during this weird COVID environment. If you can sneak outside, go for a walk or whatever, but tell us some fun activity that you're enjoying. That would be great. We'll also, as I mentioned, we'll introduce the London chapter leaders. They'll get a chance to tell you about themselves and kind of why this is important to them in terms of bringing this to London. And then I'll give you just a little bit of background on Softland Partners so you kind of understand what we're doing and our ethos and really what we're kind of aiming at and kind of why we're doing this, why we're kind of endeavoring down this crazy road. And we'll have a couple of a member spotlight and a partner spotlight. So we'll hear from Mark Fielding from Velocity Global, and we'll also hear from Harrison Jones from London Partners. So we'll get to hear about the great work they're doing. And we'll probably, why we're going to kind of hustle through this is we actually want to spend probably the most amount of time on talking about needs and opportunities. So what are the things that, whether you're on the trade and investment side, or on the service provision side, what are the needs and opportunities that either needs that maybe your clients have or opportunities that you see as market opportunities. And actually I have an opportunity I'll share while we're in that section as well. And then we'll just talk about sort of our next event and when that'll be. And we're planning to do these every month, sort of same day of the month and same time, unless there's some holiday conflict or whatnot. And then at the end, we're not in a hurry to run off. So we encourage you, if there are other topics you want to talk about, stay on and do that. As much as we can, and the virtual environment isn't perfect. It's not what we're used to in terms of having meetups and being able to talk sidebar with one individual or another, or even step out of the room and have a conversation. So we want to create that environment as much as we can, as much as as possible. So we'd encourage you to use the chat feature, either to chat to the group in general or to chat to specific individuals. That is certainly open. So please do that. As much as we can, we'll have as much an informal sort of feel as possible. I apologize. I'm in the U.S. It's 11 a.m. for me, so I'm drinking water. But if we were at a meetup, please, and most of you are in at a much more reasonable hour for something fun to drink. So please, if you've got something nearby, enjoy it. You won't hurt our feelings at all. I was on a call with the LA group, and it was 8:30 at night for me, so it was much more easy for me to have a nice cold refreshment. So I would encourage you to do that. It's not certainly you won't break our ethos at all by doing that. So, and we would certainly do it at a meetup. So why don't we kick it off? We now have, 18 people in, so great. We're gonna start off by just going around and doing introductions. And I'm gonna just go in kind of just gonna read across the bar here a little bit and ask some folks to introduce themselves. So I see Harrison. Harrison, do you just wanna do like a 15-second introduction? I know you're gonna do a spotlight in a few minutes, but if you wanna just do a quick introduction, that'd be great.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Harrison Jones. Work with London Partners, so the official promotional trade and investment organization for London. Recently moved to this side of the pond, so I'm now based in London as of January of this year. Certainly interesting times to make an international move, but glad to be on the call today.
Fantastic. Welcome, Harrison. How about Flavia? Flavia, how about you?
Yeah, hi. Hi, Bill. This is Flavia. I work with the Trade and Investment Promotion Agency in Brazil. I'm actually based in Brasilia. So always sunny, always warm. It's 27 degrees outside and it's just starting fall, so not bad. I currently work for the fashion brands that we have and trying to support them going abroad. We're looking mostly for people that can help us either with online or offline matchmaking opportunities for the fashion brands that we support. And that ranging from all the way from jewelry and gems to footwear and accessories. So basically that's what I'm doing right now. And I thank Bill for having us on this call and teaching us a little bit about how we do about our business on the online mode these days. Thank you and nice meeting everybody.
Thank you, Flavia. Flavia, I'm sorry. Mark, how about you?
Hello, I'm going to be given a spotlight a little later, so I won't go into too much detail around what I do, but suffice it to say that I help mostly tech companies with their global expansion. Since the quarantine has set in, one of my guilty pleasures has been to lose my razor, so I'm usually clean shaven. I hope you'll forgive me for that.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind giving me some, that would be really helpful. I would appreciate it. Thank you so much. Jenny.
Hi, Jenny Norris. I'm with a company called Meridian Finance Group, and we are actually owned in part by a London company called Texel. We're a credit insurance broker, so we love to work with companies that are subsidiaries of foreign-owned companies that the parent company is very nervous about the company here in the United States making credit decisions. So we sell non-payment insurance, and it's really busy right now. So thanks all. It's nice to meet you.
I bet. Thanks, Jenny. And Linda, how about you?
Hi, everyone. Terrific to be on the call. Nice to meet you. Bill, thanks for the invite. Super excited. I'm actually currently based in sunny Puerto Rico. So one of my guilty pleasures during the pandemic is been to do like a little exchange. We kind of, with a couple of friends of ours that have access to farms or farmers, we do an exchange of fruits and vegetables once a week. We kind of get together in a parking lot, so it's been kind of fun. But my company, What's Next Ventures, we focus on helping companies through their growth trajectory, from making sure that you have a sound business model to scale up to establishing an international presence. And right now we have, of course, shifted our focus a little bit and merged some of our services to ensure that companies can survive and thrive post-COVID, and working on companies, helping them to pivot and continue to grow moving forward.
Perfect.
So if you know anyone that needs help, give me a buzz.
Thanks, Linda. Super. How about Mariana?
Hello, everyone. I am actually working together with Flavia at Apex Brazil. We are a trade promotion organization connected to the Brazilian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. At Apex, I am in charge of initiatives that helps tech companies to develop international business. And I also manage a program that we have to develop plan cross incubation and soft landing programs using a network of innovation environments, such as tech parks, incubators, accelerators, and so on. I am here to understand a little bit more about this event. It sounds to have a really interesting format for us. but I am also open to connect to you guys and check how we can collaborate. Thanks.
Super. Thanks so much, Mariana. And Catherine, how about you?
Sorry,
Oh,
yes. Good afternoon. I'm Catherine. I'm talking from Brussels today. So I'm startups.be, which is a Belgian startup ecosystem. So what we do is resources to tech startups and scale-ups squeeze time in their growth process. We connect them with investors, with corporate buyers, and with young potentials. And one of our services is the organization of Go Global missions, also occasional masterclasses about relevant topics concerning internationalization. And we also welcome international delegations that want to discover the Belgian ecosystem. So I'm very new in this role. I'm just taking it up. So for me today, it's a pure discovery. I think it's quite a difficult time to start this function because I don't know if we can forget everything that we did in the past, and if the needs of tomorrow will still be the same. We will still have the same idea of international gatherings, of international traveling. So I really want to hear your opinion about that. And so my guilty pleasure is to transform surprise birthday parties into surprise videos.
Very fun. Wow, that's unique. Cool. Well, thank you, Catherine. It's so nice to meet you. And,
nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you. And welcome to your new position as well.
Thank you.
Amy, welcome. Do you want to give your introduction?
Sure. My name is Amy Chestnutt and I work for Invest Northern Ireland. So we're the economic development agency for Northern Ireland, and I work specifically with tech scale-ups. That was a combination of both words there. Tech scale-ups, offering them access to funding in research and development, salary funding, and training funding if they'd like to grow a team in Northern Ireland or open an office. What I've been doing in lockdown to keep myself entertained is myself and my two flatmates are taking it in turns to do like a come dine with me style evenings, and we always go to a different country. So last week we were in Lebanon, and this week is my week to cook and we're going to Italy. So lots of planning goes into it. Cocktails have to match, wine, the works. Very.
I'm coming to your house. This sounds like great fun. Well, thank you, Amy. It's great to meet you. Let's go to Nick. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Nick Jordan. I'm in London. I'm one of the founders of Trade Horizons. We're a commercial partner of London and Partners. So we are market entry specialists for companies looking to come and set up in the UK, and we specifically focus on how to generate income quickly. My guilty pleasure, living in London, I have a bike, but I hardly ever use it. But now there is no traffic, so I am touring the city, and it's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I would imagine London, when it's busy, is probably not ideal for bike riding. I rode a bike through there a little bit.
You have to be brave.
Yeah, for sure. Well, good luck. Keep the helmet on for sure. Nice to meet you, Nick. And Jillian, how about you? Do you want to introduce yourself? Your mic's off.
Sorry. Hi, everyone. I'm Gillian. I'm also in London. I'm in South London, and I'm Nick's partner, so co-founder of Trade Horizons. So we know some of you. We're part of the London ecosystem for helping international companies land here. As Nick said, we specialize in helping international companies get quick to sales, whatever strategy that might require, whether it's e-commerce or establishing a full solo company here. Flavia, we actually help retail, whether they're looking for partnerships, concessions, or e-commerce. So that's something we do. Guilty pleasures. I don't know, I've been loving gardening.
That's not normally what you focus on?
I normally don't have the time, but now, when we started, I planted with my son tons and tons of vegetable seeds, and now we have so many, so many. It's untrue.
That's so cool, and the weather's been so good too. So I'm sure it's great growing weather for sure. Well, thank you, Jillian. So nice to see you again. And Peter, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yep. Hi, I'm Peter Jenkins. I work with Mark at Velocity Global. I am obviously the more presentable of the two of us, even though he gets to give the presentation. Without stealing his thunder, we work in the cross-border M&A and market entry space, providing kind of back-end HR support. My guilty pleasure is that I live in a very small apartment with no garage, but have still started home brewing and distilling, which makes my fiance very happy as the smell of hops and barley pours through our home.
Well, between you and Amy, we could have a really good meal. This sounds. This is the hope is going up now. This is great. Thanks, Peter. And how about Phil? Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi there, folks. I'm Phil Shepherd, a partner with Taylor Wessing, global law firm. I am normally based in our London office, although I haven't been into London for about 2 months now. And I help a lot of overseas companies, particularly technology companies out of North America, to expand into the UK and Europe and beyond, whether that's via M&A or sort of organic international expansion. I live sort of in a village very close to lots of countryside here, so I've been enjoying seeing some birds of prey flying around that we wouldn't normally expect to see. And I've finally finished Heart of Darkness, probably one of the shortest novels I've ever read, but it's taken me about 15 years and about 7 attempts. So that was my particular pleasure over the last weekend.
Well, you really don't want to overachieve on that, do you?
I've read longer books, but that one for some reason has been a real blocker.
Yeah, we all have our white whales out there, don't we? Well, thank you, Phil. And how about Serdar? Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Serdar. I'm director of PACT, which is a London and Istanbul-based human understanding and cultural relevance studio. We work with companies such as global conglomerates, Unilever and Procter & Gamble, to tech scale-ups to NGOs. We help them understand local cultures, especially in Turkey and Middle East and North Africa. And we moved to London in 2018 to be able to help brands and companies from there to be extending to Western markets as well. So we're like a cultural translator in between East and West, you could say, in terms of marketing and market entry. And the guilty pleasure, I would say, I'll build on Nick. And I'm a cycling commuter generally. So I'm finding the quiet streets very welcoming as well. But I don't think London is very dangerous in terms of cycling, because I used to cycle in Istanbul, where I broke my nose and hands like a couple of times. So London is extremely more safer than Istanbul, I would say.
Well, yeah, and the Istanbul hills would be a little different too, wouldn't they? A little more challenging.
To survive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, the traffic and the hills for sure. How about Greg? Do you want to introduce yourself? We cannot hear you, Greg. Your mic is on, but it may not be active on your. We'll come back to you, Greg. Why don't we go to Ivan? Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Ivan. I'm head of partnerships at Global Venture Alliance. We are a private innovation ecosystem and ecosystem builder. We specialize in creating the acceleration programs for the corporations, for the governments, and for the other accelerators. And we've been doing this for the past 7 years with the major clients worldwide in all the industries. And currently, we also expanded our soft lending network, specializing in the startups, helping them to make a recognition and land in the major innovations hub around the world.
Super. And what are you enjoying during COVID, Ivan?
Sleep, if I manage to get some.
Fantastic. Well, cool. Thank you so much for joining us today. And Greg, do you think you're running now? No, we still can't hear you. All right, try it one more time. No.
Is that better?
Oh, there you go. Yeah, a sign of life.
There we go. I was on a Zoom call this morning, and for some reason I couldn't get the video working, but the audio was working.
Huh.
Now, this afternoon, it's the other way around. The video was working. I didn't even think I got that working great. But then the audio, I had to change the settings. Sorry, so I'm Greg Smith, one of the founders at HawkFX. So we help businesses to make and receive payments overseas and to manage their cash flow and reduce their risk. It's the first time I've joined one of these with yourselves, so I was hoping just to see what the structure is, how, you know, who's on, what they're doing. Talk to other people about helping companies to expand overseas, which is typically, you know, one of the main things we're doing, helping people on transaction costs, but also adding value with their strategy and helping them reduce volatility, something that we've obviously seen a lot of over the last few months, given all of the market disturbances. In terms of guilty pleasures, enjoyed, again, as a few people have said, cycling and being out running in quieter times. So we have a deer park quite close by. So I almost tripped over a deer yesterday at twilight.
I've actually hit a deer on my bike. I do a lot of road cycling. So yeah, be careful of them for sure. Cool. Well, thank you. Welcome, Greg. And
thank you.
Just so you know, this is our first ever meeting in London, so you haven't missed anything.
Okay, excellent.
And we only started doing these 2 months ago. The first one was in New York. So, and now we're in 10 cities around the world. So you're part of a fast-growing movement, apparently. So let me pop over to Philip Groth here. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi guys and girls, obviously. Thank you very much for organizing these. You've been amazing at communicating across the world. I've actually been part of this right from the beginning, following from a distance. And yeah, I've been absolutely amazed with all the work you've been doing. So very, very well done for bringing this over to this side of the pond. So I'm Philip Grother. Thank you very much for having me. I'm the co-founder of greatbrands.net. We are the brand protection platform. So that means that we're helping companies around the world protect their brands. So we start with trademark registration, obviously, the individualized search to see if brands can be registered. And essentially this was born purely out of frustration, actually, because everybody seems to think that you need a lawyer to register a brand, when in fact that's not at all the case. And yeah, so we started this a few years ago, and we've really taken the platform approach, whereby we're not ripping people off by being like super expensive. And because we've got a very scalable platform, we're actually redistributing the economies of scale and automating a whole bunch of processes, which is...
Philip, these are, just so you know, these are like 15-second intros. So
oh, I'm sorry. I thought I had 20 minutes. I do apologize. I didn't mean to hog it there. But thank you once again. And I'm really pleased to meet everybody here. Sorry about that.
No. But thank you for helping. And let's see, Kelly, do you want to introduce yourself? And just, Kelly is my wife, just people have questions, so yes.
Hi, I'm Kelly Kenny, and I'm with Meet. We help international companies exhibit at trade shows in the United States, B2B or B2G. My guilty pleasure during this COVID close-in is board meetings yes, on our stand-up paddle boards when the weather's nice. So thanks, and great to be here. Thanks, London. Hello.
Yes, you actually need to send some London weather to Connecticut. I think we've exchanged. We had four days without rain in April, so that is unusual for us. But in any event, here we are. So thank you all. We're going to shift next, and I know a couple. More. I'm sorry. I'm going to get Elif and Laura separately. Is there, besides Elif and Laura, is there anyone I missed? Okay, cool. And please chime in at any point. So we're going to have our chapter co-leaders introduce themselves. And I have to say, these are two of the most amazing people that I've gotten to know. I've known Elif now for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah,
And she's been just a longtime friend. She is a partner at an accelerator that's actually based in Istanbul called Eeckhaute. They run the Startup Istanbul and Startup Turkey programs, as well as a virtual accelerator and probably 16 other things that I don't know about because they're so great. But Elif, do you want to introduce yourself and also just kind of what about doing this and getting involved in helping international companies, which you guys help companies from, I don't know, 150, 180 countries. It's crazy. So do you want to take it from there?
Yes, thank you for the introduction, Bill. It's super excited to be here with you, all of you guys, first of all. And as you said, I'm the managing partner of Eeckhaute, and actually we have been processing like more than 200,000 startup application in the last 2 years from more than 150 countries. So we have a huge network actually in terms of tech startups. And besides that, as you said, we organize Startup Istanbul and Startup Turkey events twice a year, which we couldn't for the first time this year, actually, in our whole life. So we are planning to do it in October, but we'll see how it's going to be. And besides that, about the guilty pleasure also, I want to say mine. I'm obsessed with Sudoku right now for the last 2 months. And I think became an expert on that, and I'm copying with myself all the time. When I close my eyes, I started to see the numbers, which is not very good. And it's very, excited to host these meetups, especially in London. I live in London since November. But it will be a great pleasure to do this kind of meetings with Laura and Bill, of course. I hope these meetings will bring all of us new networks and new partnerships and friendships also.
Fantastic. Thank you. So well said. Thanks, Elif. And also, let me introduce Laura Hannon, Elif's partner in crime in terms of leading this chapter. And Laura is with Pitch 121. Laura and I met on a bus on our way to Web Summit last fall and just have hit it off ever since. So we've just become fast friends. And what Laura's company does is remarkable. They help companies build their LinkedIn presence and really maximize their LinkedIn community. So Laura, I'll pass it off to you, but thank you as well for being involved and for your passion.
Yeah, no, great to be here. Thanks, Bill. So I'm co-founder of Pitch 121, and we're a social selling agency, but we prefer to call it profile-based marketing. It's about people improving their personal brand and using LinkedIn to create networks. And when I first met Bill, and he told me about soft landing, I realized that we'd accidentally been supporting our clients to do that. So, we've been helping our clients to build networks in new markets. And, we've been pretty successful doing that because LinkedIn's a great platform for it. And my guilty pleasure has to be, it's a tough one, but I think it has to be my husband's sourdough bread. He's one of many Londoners that has decided to get he doesn't always wash his hands before he starts, but we forgive him for that. And the bread tastes too good.
That is probably not a selling feature though, is it? Oh, brilliant. Well, thank you. And Laura, I really appreciate all the work that you and Elif are doing. And I know the London chapter is in great hands. So I'm looking forward to working with you both and coming over to visit periodically. So
one day.
Yeah, and this is probably actually a good time, and I'll give a quick overview on Softland Partners, but But one thing just to mention while we're talking about London, probably some of you, if not all, are familiar with the Going Global event. It's normally in November every year in London. Our company, Meet, which Kelly described, we just bought a booth there, and in doing that, we actually struck up a relationship with the organizers, and we're right now in the final sort of process of organizing a panel discussion for Softland partners in the afternoon, probably 3:30 to 4, and then from 4 to 5 on the show floor having a soft landing or market entry internationalization meetup. And this Going Global event is strictly focused on helping UK companies or European companies internationalize. So certainly this very much speaks to all of us, and we're excited. We'll have more information over the coming weeks, and certainly by the time we talk in June, we'll have quite a bit more information. But in terms of exactly what the panel discussion will be and the meetup and so on, and we'll probably have a after meetup, after party at some good pub not down the street, because I think they close the show floor at 5. So we'll have a plan for that, and all of our London friends here will help guide us to the right location. I'm sure. Every time I'm in London, it seems like I could throw a stone from wherever I'm standing and probably hit like 5 pubs. So I know there's no challenge in finding a good pub. Well, good. Let me give you a quick overview on Softland Partners, and then we'll do these couple of spotlights. So our goal is super simple, and I find in starting things like this, it's much easier if you have sort of one thing you're trying to accomplish. And very simply, the one thing we're trying to accomplish is to help international companies enter new markets. And Jillian, if you would put your mic on mute, and anyone else, that'd be great, because the picture goes back and forth. Is there any background noises, just so you know? And so, yeah, all we're focused on is helping international companies successfully enter and scale in new markets and accomplish their goals. And this comes from, and I know a lot of you have had this experience, but what sort of inspired us to do this, or the primary thing that did, is we were doing a strategy session internally in our company this past summer. And as we were going through our current clients, we realized that every single one of our current clients has come to us as a damaged child. And some of you are, I see, smiling with that comment, but it's essentially, they've come to us after having horrific experiences trying to enter the market before we met them. And in one of our clients, an Australian company, spent $1.2 million on 2 failed attempts to enter the US. And in some cases, they made bad decisions. In other cases, they got connected to bad actors who took advantage of them. And these are exactly what is sort of causing us to do this. And if this network does nothing else but helps our clients find better service providers, we're going to be really happy. And so, that's kind of the ethos that we want to create here. And I think if all of our clients grow and grow successfully in whatever markets they're entering, and we're market agnostic, we're sort of service provider agnostic, all we care about, our true north, is the market entry company. So we're going to, as an organization, make decisions, build platforms, build tools that sort of support that outcome. And so our ethos is, very simply, we're focused on competence, ethics, and professionalism. Really straightforward, but again, all around the support of these market entry companies. Some of the things in our roadmap going forward, so right now we have, besides the meetups, which we started 2 months ago, our first one was in New York. We're now in 10 cities globally. We'll be at 12 in the next 2 weeks. And it seems like we're adding about 1 a week right now. We also have an online marketplace where registered service providers and partners, the trade and investment organizations are partners. The service providers obviously are providing services to the startups or to the market entry companies, I should say, are on the platform. So it's easy for people to search for and identify potential resources as they enter new markets. We also have a concierge that will help guide people through that. The other thing I would just mention in our roadmap, besides creating partnerships with events like Going Global, which I just mentioned, is probably by the end of the summer, we'll also stand up a speakers bureau. So we know a lot of the trade organizations and certainly a lot of the events are looking for high quality speakers from on a variety of topics, generally in some form of consulting or market entry support. So that'll be another feature that we add in the process. And behind the scenes, we'll have a needs and opportunities session here in a couple of minutes. To fuel that between meetings, we actually have a private Slack channel for all the members, so everybody can easily exchange real-time needs and opportunities, and obviously get feedback and or make connections all the time. So we'll send a follow-up email either later today or tomorrow, but you'll have all that info. But at least I wanted to give you some context kind of for why we're here, what we're trying to do. But again, it's fantastic to have you all here, and we encourage you to actively get involved. This is not something, it's like joining a gym. This is not something that will be done to you. You need to use the equipment, as it were, or else you'll be kind of where you were when we started, and that's not what we want. But there are great connections here. In every one of these meetups, we've seen actually new business and new relationships created, and so it's certainly it's encouraged. And again, it's all about helping companies, market entry companies, prosper. So with that, happy to chat with anybody later with any questions, organize private Zooms and all that stuff. But let me pop over to our first spotlight, and I'm going to introduce Mark Fielding from Velocity Global, and Mark's been and his team actually been really good early adopters here. And Mark, do you want to give us a bit of an overview on Velocity Global and what you guys are up to?
Sure, very happy to. So essentially what we do is a product called International PO. It's fairly well known, I think, in the US due to the large domestic PO industry. There's huge companies like Insperity, Trinet, Oasis that are listed, but it's not so well known outside of the US, where the legal application of international PO is a little different. So the easiest way to think of what international PO does is to think of us like an Airbnb for corporate infrastructure. So we maintain a network of fully operational corporations across 186 countries. And what we do with that network of companies is hire our clients' employees on their behalf, running payroll, putting together benefits packages, acting as a tax withholding agent, generally doing anything that a legal employer would do. What that allows our clients to do is to have an employee footprint in markets in which they don't themselves have corporate infrastructure in place. The use cases for this are first and foremost market entry. So we work with a lot of tech companies that want to get an initial country manager, potentially one or two salespeople, into a new market to test the traction of their product or service before then committing to more permanent infrastructure. Usually we support clients for around 6 months to a year, potentially 2 years in the kind of higher end, on the higher end of the scale. The other use case is speed to market as well. So for clients that need to get an employee footprint into a new market very quickly to leverage an opportunity, for example, we can onboard employees in as little as 48 hours. When that's compared to the time it takes to set up a corporation, get a bank account up and running, put in place payroll processes, that can mean the difference between make or break when it comes to those fast moving opportunities. I'm not going to go into the details of the legality. I did so on a previous call, but suffice it to say, we've got a whole spiel about the jurisprudence of international PO. If you have those questions, feel free to reach out to me separately. So anyway, so use cases, all right. And in terms of the type of partners that we work with, we work very closely here in the US with a lot of the VCs that are providing B or C round funding, typically to tech startups for international expansion. What we do drastically lowers the risk of that international expansion. So they're big fans of ours. We also work with a load of tech incubators, as well as law firms, accounting firms, and other advisors. But we focus very much on that HR swim lane. So what this group has been very helpful in is allow us to refer clients over to other service providers that cover bases that we don't An example was recently we sent over a contact to Alice Chin, who helps with cultural HR frameworks, essentially, for a client of ours that wanted to develop kind of a global HR policy for their growing employee base. So very happy to meet you, and hopefully I get the chance to catch up with you individually in due course.
Thanks so much, Mark. And just for those that don't know, Alice Chin is our chapter leader, co-chapter leader in New York, and just a fantastic networker as well. So yeah, thanks. That was fantastic, Mark. Well, let's go to Harrison. Harrison Jones from London and Partners. You want to give us your 6-minute spotlight? Tell us what's up and fantastic at London and Partners. You guys are doing some great work.
Sure. Well, thanks, Bill, again, for inviting me today. Really appreciate it. So London & Partners, as I mentioned at the beginning, is the official promotional trade and investment organization for London. So half paid for by the Mayor of London's office, and then the other half is private partners. We've actually got some of them on the call today, so it's great to see some familiar faces. And it definitely takes a village in order to support growing businesses to expand internationally. So that's the role that I currently do right now. Is we have a program called the Mayor's International Business Program, which assists fast-growing scale-ups that are looking to internationalize, to find a new home or a second, third, whatever number of office that may be. So we utilize our international offices that we already have on the ground. So we're in North America, US and Canada, China, India, France, and Germany, but then also working with partners all over and kind of our other markets to make sure that we can help companies set up and grow quickly within those markets. So a couple other things about some of the companies that we focus on is, I think most of us would agree, tech is kind of the through line for everything these days, but I specifically focus on the urban industry, so anything in IoT, smart infrastructure, smart mobility, but then also the dual-sidedness of that, I also focus on creative industry. So it's great to see that we've got some people on the line who work in fashion, retail, ad tech, things of that nature. It's definitely an interesting space given our current global situation. So yeah, I mean, we provide support via commercial partners, as I mentioned before, working with groups such as Mark's in order to make that happen and help companies expand. We also work with local economic development agencies to make sure that companies kind of really know different markets all around the world before they go ahead and make that jump.
Sorry, I was on mute. Thank you so much, Harrison. That was great. So is with your role, and I know a little about London and Partners, and I'm actually just becoming one of your mentors, which is,
great.
Yeah, I know. Emirate wrote me into that. So are you also involved in I know you do an accelerator once a quarter. Is that also fit under what your work, the 60 to 75 companies that are going through the accelerator program?
Yeah, so we launch a quarterly accelerator, Bill, as you mentioned. So that is a makeup across our 4 key sectors. I cover 2 of those. The other 2 are pretty broadly defined as innovation and life sciences. So that's AI and machine learning, and then kind of med tech. And then we've also got kind of financial and business services, which tends to be around cybersecurity and fintech. So definitely pretty broad from that perspective, but yeah, we launch every quarter, usually a big kind of in-person cohort launch where people get a chance to meet up and really get to know each other. I think one of the biggest benefits for our program is not only connections globally, but then also really getting connected within the London ecosystem with other London-based scale-ups that may be facing similar issues. We find that can be some of the best peer-to-peer learning similar to these situations, right? We've had the likes of Monzo and Revolut on our program, which are some great fintech startups, and they've actually come back and been mentors similar to yourself, Bill, and explaining to companies, here's how you enter specific markets, and providing some of that insider knowledge.
Awesome. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for doing this, Harrison. Really appreciate it, and looking forward to continuing to find ways to work together. So our next section here is to talk about needs and opportunities, and I want to really differentiate this from what we've been doing, because it's easy. We all kind of walk into these with our 6-shooters on our hips. Needs and opportunities aren't about us, so we're not promoting anything anymore. We're really talking about our clients and customers and other people who are trying to help, or in terms of the needs. So this is not any longer the promotional time. And so also sharing opportunities. If there are particular resources, and obviously we're in a unique situation now that there might be many more resources that would be good to highlight. And I think highlighting those that are specifically London or UK centric would be important as well. So I will be quiet, and please feel free to share. This is very much the interactive part. The rest is supposed to be interactive, but this is, I'm not here. So please, what needs and opportunities would anyone like to share? I'm quiet.
All right, I've got a question just to kick it off. Why not? I don't know to what extent anybody else on this call is involved with any London-based incubators, but we've done in the past a bit of work with London partners, as well as the Growth Company, which is not London, it's up north, but similar vein. They're basically an incubator that are also linked to COADEC, which is the startup lobbying association, or the political representation for the startup community in London. And they're typically super open to providing mentorship programs or a platform for specialists to kind of address interested members, member companies. So just wondering if anybody else here is involved with them.
Has anyone else connected? Say the name of the organization again, the parent?
Tech Hub. Is the name of the accelerator in London. COADEC is the industry association. And then the one up north is called the Growth Co.
Cool. Is anyone else familiar or working with them?
Okay.
I
recommend you check them out then.
Oh, that's awesome. No, thank you. That's a great tip for sure.
Actually, that does bring up a really. Sorry, carry on.
No, I said go ahead, Philip.
Thanks a lot. I said that really does bring up a really interesting topic. Maybe is there going to be a shared resource where we can sort of start putting resources together, places that you might want to go and see for XY resource, site addresses or people that you might want to speak to. You mentioned a Slack channel. Is that going to be made available here on the chat, or is that on invite?
It's on invite, and you should be, as you're already a service provider on the platform. So we'll double check, but you should already be in that community, and we actually have a London subgroup as well.
Splendid, excellent.
Yeah. Cool. But yeah, no, we definitely want obviously this conversation sort of evaporates. That obviously Slack becomes much more of a 24/7 community to be able to share and reposit good resources. So yes, please do. Who else has a comment, a need, an opportunity that they'd like to share?
I've got one. So I'll just open it up to the group. I know that we've got some people who are focused on kind of that creative industries, whether that's tech focused or retail focused. It's definitely an area that's been pretty hard hit in the current environment. So I'm just wondering if anyone knows of resources within London for kind of creative industries companies. It's definitely an area where I'm trying to support my companies and struggling a bit to get them the support that they need. So if anyone has any suggestions, resources, that'd be great to know about.
All right, open to the floor. Who's got some contacts, resources that would be good for creative companies in London? Oh, I know we can answer that one for sure.
Harrison, it's not in London, but one of the things that is being done here in Puerto Rico by the startup ecosystem and by the small business community is actually build a database. And I've seen it also happen in Miami. I work a lot in Miami as well. Build a database of freelancers, especially in the creative industries, so you can hire them. And a lot of people, myself included, have actually put together programs at more accessible pricing, right? Just to get the ball rolling and to get traction. So that, and one of our big centers here, very much like yours, the Trade Center, has been actively promoting it, not just locally, but internationally. In Puerto Rico, we tend to really focus in the Americas as a jumping off point to LATAM. So that's a lot of where the focus is going, which is why many of you may not have seen it. But it's just an idea, and
that's great.
Yeah, and it's worked really well. They did the same thing after the Hurricane Maria, which was a huge, economically devastating crisis here. And so it's just an idea, and it's worked really well, particularly for creative industries.
Cool.
Thank you. Oh, that's great.
Other resources that would be helpful for Harrison that anyone knows, or, you know, in the really with networking, sometimes it's not direct knowledge, it's knowledge of somebody who would know. So if you may know someone who would be the keeper of that information, that's also helpful.
I could contribute to that. I'm sending 2 links now on the chat. One is called unojuno.com and the other one is workingnotworking.com. Juno is like more UK based, and Not Working is more of a global one. You put out a brief and creatives, sign up for that. They chip in and then you can choose between them. So Juno is very popular with UK creatives that you could put up your brief and accept applications to that. So that's quite used nowadays. And I'll try to help with the creatives, like if you need agencies and everything, send me, I'll send you a message and then I'll try to lead you to the right person if you need.
Thank you. That's great.
Cool, thanks, Serdar. And Harrison, just so we qualify your need a little bit too, is I know that your primary focus is on scale up companies. So these likely wouldn't be individuals that you're trying to support and help. They're actually financially strong companies that are internationalizing and so on. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, that's correct. I think too, from the aspect where a lot of these companies are trying to pivot or at least figure out, for some of them where they're like, I furloughed half my staff. How can we continue to kind of keep them occupied and engaged in this space, hopefully until we can turn the lights fully back on. So I think even some of the aspects around freelancing and one-to-one help is just great to kind of keep the ball rolling on some of the work that they're doing.
Cool. All right. So some bridge resources also.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, great. And I would just encourage, and these are, obviously we're sort of seeding the ground a little bit here. These are good excuses for follow-up, right? And so, I've often found in networking, it's not what you say that's as important as what you hear. And so these are all sort of clues as to what our friends and associates need. And it's funny, as we have awareness of these, quite often our next conversation or a conversation in the same week is with someone who actually is the keeper of that information. And then you can connect the 2 dots and build value. I mean, that's how any of us build value, is by making those connections. So, and it looks like Laura just put in a comment about Agency Collective. Do you want to describe that, Laura?
Yeah, it's been going for quite a few years, and they've also got a Slack channel and lots of agencies. The good thing about it is that somebody will go on and say, hey, does anybody know a good SEO agency, or anybody can help with this content? And there's a lot of lead sharing. And if there's anything really specific that you're after, well, I'm a paid member of Agency Collective, so just let me know and I can put a shout out.
Great, thank you.
Awesome.
Another one is the Network One as well. They're a kind of independent indie creative agency network. I think in a similar vein to what Laura was describing as well.
Awesome. Why don't we do this? We'll come back to this and it's kind of open floor in just like 3 minutes. But I know there are some people that are going to have to cut off on the hour, and I want to be observant of that. So I just want to kind of say a couple of things as we at least close the formal part. Number one is our next meetup is scheduled for 3 June, Wednesday, same time, so 4 p.m. London time. And our goal is to get these to be in person. And as we come out of COVID, to get so that we're meeting face to face is certainly the priority. Obviously, we're opportunistic now in getting this going while we're in this situation. It's wonderful to be able to include people from more than just London. So that's I think a real virtue of this opportunity. But we're also, part of the goal is to build very dense local communities and ecosystems to help market entry companies and or companies looking to internationalize to help them much more effectively and productively do that. The other thing I'd mention as well is, probably the most important thing from a network standpoint that we all can do between these is sort of pick 1, 2, 3 people that we're going to have a chat with one-on-one in between this meeting and the June meeting. Ultimately, our success as a network is not going to be based on sort of what we've established today, which are sort of superficial beginning relationships. It's going to be based on each of us getting more intimate and building, ideally over time, trust relationships with a few, and it's from that sort of depth that we get a much stronger network. Superficial networks don't really work very well, but those where we build good trust and where that advocacy can begin is really where it becomes much stronger and ultimately much more valuable for the companies that we're endeavoring to help. And ultimately, as opposed to looking at this as what you'll directly get, looking at it as building a bullpen or a pool of resources that can much more effectively support your client company needs. When we talk to people about where they get their best referrals from, nearly 100%, at least 95%, tell us that their best referrals come from current or past customers. If that's the case, the best way to invest in them is to continue to help them solve the problems that are most important for them. And solving problems usually takes a good pool of resources and bullpen. And it kind of echoes what Mark said earlier in terms of the connection he made for one of his clients to Alice Chin in New York. And it was all based on the care for the client and making sure they got to the best resource possible. So with that, again, our goal, I think, really, really simple. Today was a kickoff event. We'll look to continue the conversation. We'll have follow-up, and we certainly look forward, and please reach out to me directly. I know Elif and Laura are very excited to also engage. I know Elif put her email address, and I think Laura did as well in the chat. But please do that. We will, and sorry, this is the way we operate, but we will put a final attendee list with email addresses in the Slack channel, which is your little bit of cheese to sort of get involved in the community. Again, we have to have some rules to this, but we want to encourage you to connect. You already have pretty much a list of attendees from yesterday. We're not keeping you from reaching out to anyone on LinkedIn, which Laura would advocate fully. But we do want to really create value for people who are investing in the process, and we want a committed community. So with that, I'm going to shut up and open up the floor. But really thank you all for being a part of this, and again, encourage you to stay connected and let us know how we can help and give us as much feedback as you can. So thank you. And again, we're not in a rush to leave, so please share any other comments, thoughts, needs, opportunities, and so on.
Thanks, Bill. I've got a need that somebody might be able to help me with. I'm looking for Nordic health tech companies to contribute to a white paper. So it should be a nice win-win, because it will position their company incredibly well, and we're looking for people to interview and contribute to that. I don't know whether anybody has any Nordic health tech companies that they know that are looking to elevate their profile at all, but that's definitely something that we're needing at the moment.
Perfect. Who has some contacts with the Nordics? I know we've had actually some of the Nordics participate, some of the trade and investment organizations participate in the other meetups, but who would have contacts with Nordics?
Maybe one for another time.
Maybe I could suggest that for the people that do have a request, that you actually write it down in the chat, because sometimes it's also useful to actually look into who you know and be able to get back to that person. Because if it's just orally and nobody's taking notes, we're going to miss the opportunity.
Sure. No, always a good idea.
Yeah.
Any other comments on that?
I have a question, totally different.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
I wrote in the chat as well. Is the Slack channel private, or is anyone can join in?
Yeah, so you would need to become a part of the organization. So for service providers, it is a crazy $100 a year to have access to everything. And then for partners, it's free. So, but you have to, and we'll send it out tomorrow, but there's an application, really simple, takes you 2 to 3.
You're going to send out information to how to participate in that. Okay, that's great to know.
You got it. Perfect. No, thank you so much. And we have to talk about Istanbul sometime.
I'd
My
love
second
to.
home.
I'd love to, yeah.
I will join that too.
Brilliant, brilliant. Cool. Any other comments? Tons of comments on the Slack channel going up. This is great. All right, I'm sorry, not on Slack, on the chat. Other needs, opportunities?
I think, Bill, maybe we can discuss next time at least, or meanwhile on the Slack, how we can support companies to expand in actually by not physically changing their location in this outbreak time. So like companies from out of UK, how they can find an investor, or how can have a branch here in UK, etc. This kind of stuff that bring them more customer or investors, or any benefits actually.
I think that's a brilliant topic. It's perfect. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of good advice that we could probably all share with companies. So, and for those that don't know, we also have it's called Softland Central. We just launched a podcast specific for soft landing, and what we might do is actually on that, we might actually create a panel that could talk about that particular topic. Yeah. What you had something on that, Harrison?
Oh yeah, I was just shameless plug on this one. So we're running the world's first virtual trade mission next week. So it's going to be very interesting to see from an economic development perspective. We're going to try and replicate what it would mean to go to a new market and do all the things you would normally do on a trade mission. So fingers crossed it doesn't blow up in our face.
Actually, Harrison, we've done them here in Puerto Rico with the Department of Commerce and Export, and they are phenomenal.
World's second trade mission.
Second. We'll say second place.
They are really phenomenal. And
oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we can chat offline.
Yeah, let's do that.
Because I actually have been able to get a lot of clients that way. So it's been fantastic. Because the budget to actually do a physical trade mission is too small. So it's great. And it's great for creative agencies, but creative industries. So we should talk.
Yeah. No, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Perfect. Good. Other thoughts, questions, ideas? I love the, and please ping me. I'll share in the follow-up. I love Ellis' idea about doing maybe a podcast, and maybe there's other content we can do on this topic. But if you're interested in participating in that, being on the panel or whatever, obviously we'll want to have diversity and perspective. But if that's of interest to you, please ping me as well. Just follow up to the email and let me know.
Given,
yeah, go ahead.
Given that you have been instrumental in bringing us all together, what can we do to help you?
Oh, such a sweet question. Thank you, Philip. Yeah, you know, really what probably by far the biggest thing is, and particularly for those on the ground in London, and I don't mean at all to disparage anyone that isn't, but particularly those that are, is bring your friends. I mean, really, we can do, and just so everybody knows, when we go through the member applications, we actually separate them into two piles. One are what we would consider preferred. These are people who have, or businesses that have had significant experience in helping international companies. We actually note that when we put them online. And then others that don't yet have that experience, we want to encourage, but we designate them as associate. And the best way, I mean, we can do filtering forever, and we have a lot of other ways that we're going to implement to really assure as much as possible the quality and competence and ethics of folks as they come on the platform. But when folks that are involved bring their friends, we have generally the bar is already higher. And we each have people that we've worked with and have trusted for some time. And that's really, if we all brought one or two people to each meetup, that I think the group grows not only faster and we get more people in the circle, but we also better assure the quality. So thank you, Philip. I'll send you your $5 or £5 or €5 for that question.
I only take 5 Bitcoins, please.
5 Bitcoins. Right. Okay. If I knew how to do that, I would gladly send them to you.
If I knew that you had 5 Bitcoins to send, I would walk you through it step by step.
Well, really, I just evidenced that I have no clue. So good stuff. No, but thank you. Other comments, thoughts?
Unfortunately, I have to run, but this has been really great. So thanks, Bill, for inviting me and including us in the conversation. This will be really helpful moving forward. So happy to help anyone if they need anything moving forward.
Cool. And Harrison, too, I know you guys have a big team. Feel free to share this with your counterparts as well. And we're, again, agnostic as to country. We do, we're people going into or out of any country are all good.
No, this is great, and I think especially on our teams overseas and here, I think that there could be a lot of synergy. So yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks, Harrison. Good to meet you.
Bye. Yep. Sure. Bye.
Hey guys, I have to run as well, but this is great, and Bill, always a pleasure, and look forward to more virtual meetups.
For the time being, yeah.
Yeah, no, you know that I'm all in for the virtual because
We're not in Puerto Rico yet. It's coming soon. You have to start the San Juan chapter. Come on.
I do. I think that I need to do a Miami San Juan one because I think that will have better mass, but we'll get there. We're a culture of shaking hands, right? So we need to get together and talk, but we'll get there.
Sounds good.
Anyway, terrific meeting everyone, and look forward to collaborating.
Thanks, Laura.
Bye.
Yeah, I'm the next one. I have to go as well. So thank you so much, everyone. Great to see you. Great initiative, Bill. Thanks, Elif and Laura, for running the chapter. Hope to meet you all soon and look forward to building something great together.
That sounds great. Thanks, Jillian. Great to see you again.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thanks, everyone. I got to run as well. Thanks, Bill.
All right, Ivan. We'll talk to you soon. It's probably after dinner for you. It's later in the evening.
Yeah, exactly. Take care. We'll be in touch.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Well, I think that probably wraps us up unless anyone else has anything.
Yeah, I've got a practical question.
Yeah.
This Zoom group chat, does this disappear when we end the call?
I've hit record, so it's available to watch later.
Right, okay.
And you can tell me all the
actually,
things I
Laura,
did incorrectly.
I was just wondering whether I should copy and paste the chat and keep a record of it.
That's a good question. I don't think, you're probably right. It does not appear in the video. So if there's a way to grab it, let me see if I have a way here.
Laura, were you asking about the Nordics?
Yes.
Or was that another Laura?
No, that was me.
Yeah, okay. I actually sent you a contact in the group chat. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, Nicholas.
But I sent it to you privately. Connection of mine.
Thank you.
If you connect with me on LinkedIn, I can warm intro you. He's quite active in the startup community with RegTech and legal tech, and he most definitely knows people in the health tech industry in the Nordics somewhere.
Great.
So.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, it's quite an exciting project that we're doing, so appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So, well, because it's just almost just us five anyway. What's it about?
So we're interviewing people who are at the scale-up stage, and the paper's going to have around 15 companies featured in it. And then, basically the benefit for the health tech company is more to do with partnerships, but we feel that it's a good time to be, obviously health tech is absolutely front of mind for a lot of, to save the world, basically, this COVID time. And we just want to get some insight on these kinds of companies on how they're coping with scaling up. And a lot of Nordic organizations are coming into the UK. So, they sort of often do their market entry from Denmark to Norway and Finland and so on, but then, UK and the US. So that's our interest really, is to see how they are scaling.
Cool. Well, I'll tell you what, actually, I just thought of someone else that I can introduce you to on LinkedIn as well. I've taken the liberty of putting my LinkedIn profile on the chat. Sorry, I copied it twice, one to you privately and on the group chat, but feel free to connect, and I'll introduce you to I'll make a warm intro to Nicholas, but I'll also introduce you to one of my guys here in Luxembourg. He's actually really well connected throughout the health tech industry, and he most probably knows people up in the Nordics that you can definitely talk to. So.
Wonderful.
A guy called Pranjal Shah. He's got an amazing network as well. And in fact, that reminds me, Bill, I'll also introduce you to Pranjal. He runs the Luxembourg University Incubator. He's an amazing guy to know. So I'll definitely be sort of pinging this group around the network. Admittedly, no, it's not directly London, although I do have the right accent. But definitely, I think that having, for the moment, a much more sort of European or pan-European focus for the moment, until we start focusing on, country by country, city by city, I wouldn't be surprised if there are many other countries that come and join London, just purely and simply because, we, on the other side of the pond, we do tend to get jealous. Why not me? Why not now?
Well, we're opening Amsterdam in June.
Ah, cool, excellent. Yeah. Well, feel free to ping that over to me as well. Because we're actually quite close to Amsterdam as well. I mean, Luxembourg is extremely well situated in terms of Central European geography, so that's quite cool.
I actually did an interview on Friday with the director of the PwC Accelerator Hub in Luxembourg.
Excellent, yeah. Very, very cool.
Yeah,
very cool. Who did you speak to?
His name is Peter. Gosh, what's his last name? It's terrible.
No, don't worry. I won't put you on the spot.
Peter Hoffman.
Peter Hoffman. There, Hoffman is the Luxembourg Jones. So
Well, he lives in Germany, so he's even more Hoffman.
He's the Hoffman of Hoffmans. Yeah. Okay. Cool. But no, definitely. I mean, a really tight-knit community as well. So more than happy to introduce you to a whole load of people here. But yeah, Laura, feel free to reach out, and I'll make those warm intros. No issues whatsoever.
That'd be great. Thanks, Philip. And you can let me know what I can do in return.
Oh, I'm sure that we'll have more than one opportunity to exchange. I mean, certainly being part of this community would be cool. I was actually looking if I did have the Slack accesses, and I can't seem to find it. So
I'll follow up on that after the call.
Yeah, if you just want to send it to me again, that would be cool.
Yep.
Excellent.
Very
Great
good.
stuff. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you all. You all have a great day, and it's really a good kickoff. So awesome job.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
I'll be in touch. Bye-bye.
Splendid. Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.